It's time to go beyond the headlines, cause I don't put in overtime just so I can headline. Okay, now it's Fox Sports, I'm live with Renee. Going hard every day, sports rapping every play. Different segments for your favorites, coming at you daily. With positive vibes, yeah, we some game changers. Basketball, football, soccer, with different interviews, you never know who may pop up. Listen, only on Beyond the Headlines, this is Beyond the Headlines. Only on Beyond the Headlines, this is Beyond the Headlines. Only on Beyond the Headlines, this is Beyond the Headlines with Renee Washington.
Happy November, everybody, and welcome to the start of a new month and the start of a new episode of Beyond the Headlines with me, your host, Renee Washington, brought to you by Fox Sports Radio. I am so excited for today's episode because we have a talented guest. All of our guests are talented, but talented in his own way, and many ways that will be joining the show today. Deonte Holden, who's going to be bringing a lot of insight around his work on and off the field, in business and football, and so much more. So as always, if you have not already, hit that subscribe button. Keep up with the show each and every week as we're bringing you new content, as we're bringing you new updates, new stories, new perspective is what we're trying to also bring you as we're going beyond the headlines. So without further ado, this week, we've got our sports wrap as we get into our guest, Deonte Holden, the CFL football player, owner and CEO of Law of Athlete. He played football at NC State, the Wolfpack, representing the DMV, and he's going to be joining us for our sports wrap. Hope you guys are ready.
What's up? It's Microphone Rocky, and here's our host, Renee Washington, with our sports wrap covering news, updates, and everything else you need to know around the league.
All right, guys, he is here, and you have probably been waiting as much as I have for a few seconds now. But Deonte Holden joining us, who has played football at the college level with NC State, played in the CFL, and is now the CEO of Law of Athlete. Deonte, welcome. How are you?
Hello. How are you doing? I'm doing fine. Traveling around. It's a little cold here in Maryland now. So, you got to grab your hoodies and your coats and all that good stuff.
Yeah. It's sweater season. It's absolutely sweater season. November, the weather is officially cold. It is like I wore a scarf this past weekend for the first time in a really long time.
Right.
I wore some boots. It's time. It's time.
Yeah. But it's great.
Go ahead.
It's holiday season too, though, I can't wait for my turkey wings.
I was actually going to say the same thing because with cold weather comes the holidays, which we all love. I actually may or may not have already broken down and started watching my cheesy Hallmark Christmas movies. I have. It's okay. But we did just have Halloween. Did you do anything fun for Halloween? Anything exciting?
I guess I went to a nice Halloween function, I guess you can say. I did my costume. Wasn't really a costume. It was actually more of an outfit. I dressed up as a NWA. I don't know which character I was, but I was more of like the backstage member that they didn't really include. But yeah, that was me. That was the outfit for me. It was simple yet sleek. I liked it.
Okay. Was it a costume you had to explain?
Nah, people didn't really ask me who I was. And if they did, I would have just said, I'm the modern day NWA.
Okay.
So that's what I did.
Okay. Yes. You were the extra. I appreciate that. You
Definitely.
were giving it a modern day spin, which is always good.
NWA 2.0. NWA 2.0.
Yes. There you go. Yeah, this year I was just the workaholic that had to go do some broadcasts. That was my costume. And left no candy for the other kids because, quick story, the kids in my neighborhood decided, since there were bowls left out on people's front porches, to take the whole bowl and dump it into their bag and not save some for other people. So they were not getting candy from me. I was that neighbor. Okay.
Wow.
I know.
Very unfortunate.
I know, but you know what? It's okay. The holiday season brings a lot of exciting things. We just had Halloween. We've got Thanksgiving around the corner. As you mentioned, turkey wings. That's your go-to exciting dish for Thanksgiving?
Not really my go-to. Honestly, it's more so giving macaroni and cheese and baked beans together, okay? With a little bit of barbecue wings and a little bit of turkey wings, but more so barbecue wings than the turkey wings.
I hear your DMV is oozing through all of that.
Of course.
Yeah, I heard all of that. I don't like mac and cheese. I know, guys. I'm sorry. It's cool. I've lived with it my whole life. It's cool. But I was just talking about today, like glazed ham, greens. Definitely love some mashed potatoes, gravies, drizzle on the top, some turkey.
Yeah.
The best. And then do it again for Christmas. So.
Okay,
now that we're hungry,
yeah.
let's get into, I could talk about food all day long, but let's get into all the work that you've been doing. As we have been sharing through our social media posts and talking about, CEO of Law of Athlete, former football player with NC State, played in the CFL, and the last few years have been a lot of change for you. And I think that's one of the best things I really enjoy about your story is we've all had to pivot around the pandemic, but you've pivoted in a very big way. So can you share with everybody as an entrepreneur and business owner, all the different hats that you wear throughout the course of your day?
Yeah, so obviously former NC State athlete. Just a little bit about my background at NC State. I was, fortunate enough to go to NC State, earn a scholarship to play at the university. I was also fortunate enough to earn several degrees, all within business marketing, luxury, brand textiles, brand marketing, textile management, things of that nature. I was also fortunate enough to travel overseas. I lived in Paris for about 4 months. That was a great experience. Really got to step outside myself and adapt to a whole new culture and, just see what was out there, and just thinking outside of just being a football player. And also just get into different business ventures and different internship programs that enable me to learn the things that I was learning then and apply it now. So now I'm an executive partner for a hedge fund company that helps current and former professional athletes. I'm executive partner there called Obsidian by Magma Capital Funds. I'm also the CEO at Law Athlete, which is a multimedia brand, a multimedia platform that houses a sports agency, a lifestyle brand, and we also do a lot of philanthropic activities for the community, especially in the DMV area.
Woo! Okay, something light. So there's a lot to unpack there, and you know what the biggest thing is? First of all, congrats to you on all your successes, because it's incredible the way that you have done so much. 6 years it took you to get your degrees from NC State, all 3 of them, and throughout that course, you just continue to grow to be more than an athlete. And so that's something I want to touch on first, is just the fact that you were still pursuing your dreams in football, but also pursuing your dreams in business. And I actually read an article about you that shared about how you, from a very young age, knew that you wanted to be an entrepreneur. That's not something I think back to a lot of those common activities we had in school where it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And everyone's like, teacher, doctor, lawyer. I said like 4 or 5 things for mine. What made you say entrepreneur, businessman, that's what you wanted to do with your career?
It's crazy. I mean, I guess I just knew I don't know. I guess I knew I always wanted to be in that limelight. Really, when I first started, I actually wanted to be an architect. And I got one of my first scholarships at the University of Cincinnati, and they were very known for the architectural program or whatever. Didn't do it. I realized you had to be in school for so long. I probably wouldn't have mattered because I was in school for a long time anyway.
That's the full irony of it.
Right. So, but I ended up not doing it. But I always knew I wanted to get into business. And since I was a kid, I would always write down my goals and things that I wanted to do. Like I wanted to have a movie theater, a hair salon for, because one thing I knew, everybody loved movies. And one thing I knew is that no matter what, women can always make sure they hair, nails, and everything done. So I was like, you know what, let me create something that goes into that. Me and my uncle, we talked about it a lot. That was like, I was 11 years old talking about stuff like that. Didn't know how I was going to get that money. Didn't matter. Didn't do it. But the thought process was there. So when I got to college, I knew that this was a great opportunity for me to, achieve a lot of the things that I wanted to achieve without really having to worry about paying for a college education. So a lot of the things that I learned in college, a lot of the things that I did in college, I try to see how can I implement the things that I'm learning into my own businesses or hobbies or things of that nature. So I really had that mindset for a minute, and when I went to college, like I said, my goal was to say, how can I maximize my talents and my opportunities to make sure I'm successful beyond athletics? Because in college, you're only in school but for so long. For some people, we're fortunate enough to be in college for 3 years, depending on if you're going to the NFL, NBA, whatever profession you want to get into, 4 years to 6 years. And I knew within that time span, I had to make sure that I can get everything that I can possibly get out of playing the game, because once it's over, it's over. People don't look at you the same. They don't listen to you the same when you technically stop playing sports. So I knew that I had a platform that I needed to utilize to create a purpose for myself, and also help others find their purpose as well.
Yeah, and what I like about that is you were maximizing your time and the doors that were open through being a football player, because I think that's something I know I always tell people is one of the biggest things that soccer gave me was an education. I only got 2 degrees. I thought I was doing something. But I got my undergrad and master's degree paid for through soccer, and then also through that gave me other opportunities. I always tell people you can do as much as you want to do. The only limitation is set by yourself. You're the one that's saying, I can't, I don't have time, I don't have this, I don't have that. You can make it happen. That when there's a will, there's a way. And so, even just hearing your story, and I hate to say this, but there is a stereotype and there is the assumption that so many, especially male athletes of big sports like football and basketball, are only focused on get into college, play your sport, and then get a pro contract and get drafted somewhere. And that's it. So I know I even have had conversations. I was a 2-sport athlete and I had 8 or 9 internships. And every time I tell people that, they're like, well, why? And how could I do that? Why not? Why not do that? At some point we have to hang it up, some sooner than later. And then what? So for you really having the opportunity to get your hands involved in so much, what made you decide? I know you were also in school for 6 years around the injuries that you suffered, and the injury-plagued career, I should say, you had in college. But bigger than that, you could have hung your head and what was me? I had the red shirt. I had to, play another year, another 2 years, and end up being. But instead, you decided to take advantage of that opportunity to pursue more degrees, to pursue more opportunities. What was that switch for you? Because now, granted, you're saying since 11 years old, you've always wanted to do a lot of different things. But still, that's a very mature outlook at such a young age in college to realize, I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity to pursue more. What was that motivating factor for you?
Can I be honest with you? I'm going to give you the real cutthroat truth. All right.
Okay.
All right? I'm going to give you the real cutthroat truth. So my whole mentality is if I start something, I'm going to finish it. Right. And what I promised to my parents, for that matter, I promised them that I'm going to get everything that I can get out of college. Right. And when you are so one-track minded on your sport, you don't know the things that you're capable of in the sport, what the sport can offer you beyond just playing. So when I got injured, I was out for a year and a half almost. I had a Liz Frank fracture, broke my foot. It was said that I wasn't going to be able to play football again, the whole 9, this whole spill. Within that year and a half, I had a whole lot of time to think about a lot. Not only did I have a lot of time to think about the things that I was interested in, I had a lot of time to figure out or learn the system of just college athletics, right? So I started to learn more about, the red shirt, your red shirt year, your medical red shirt year, things like that, right? So when I got injured, I knew that I was eligible to get another year of football because of what I lost. During that time frame, I can tell you right now that I was not offered the opportunity really to continue my football career. If anything, I was put in a position where I was almost forced to give it up.
Oh.
So because of what people thought I wasn't capable of doing. And that was after my 3rd year coming back from my injury and everything like that. And people try to tell me what I could and couldn't do. And I said, no, I can do it. If you just come and watch me practice, if you come and watch me play like everybody else. You can see that I can play. And it was a situation where if I had limped or anything at any moment, I was done. So I knew what was at stake. I knew what I had to do in order to continue my football career and continue getting the things that I needed to get in order to achieve what I wanted to achieve beyond athletics. And I didn't give up. I did not take the medical scholarship. I was almost going to take it because at first I kept thinking to myself, like, this is hard. My foot is not the same. You know, like, I'm not the same player that I was. Like, I should just give up. And a good friend of mine that played on my team, he told me, he said, you don't take that medical scholarship. Do not. Like, if you know you can still play, do not take the medical scholarship. Because if you take the medical scholarship, once you agree that you cannot play anymore, once you graduate, you're done. And I knew if I graduated, I still would have had 3 more years of eligibility that I just gave away. So if my parents can go through all of the trials and tribulations that they went through to get me up to this point, me going hard for another 2 to 3 years, that should be nothing. So I told myself, like I promised to my parents, I'm gonna make sure I get everything I can possibly get out of my sport. I didn't take the medical scholarship, and I did everything I had to do. And I'm glad that I did it, because if I would have took that medical scholarship, I would have never went to Paris. I would have never had a story like this to create Law Athlete. I would have never did internships. I would have never met the people that I met within my program, or in Paris for that matter. I would have never traveled to different countries. So the whole mindset of never giving up was really what got me up to this point. Because if I would have gave up that quick and allowed people to tell me what I can and can't do with my own body, then I wouldn't be here today. At least in this position.
Wow.
So, college athletics is real. I'm gonna give y'all the cutthroat truth.
Yes,
You know,
it is.
It is real. College athletics is real. You know, you have to play the game within the game. You know, that's very important. You got to play the game within the game, and that's just with anything that you do. Play the game within the game. Utilize the system. Don't let the system use you. That's actually one of the laws for Law Athlete. And that's very important, because you're going to be there for almost 4 to 5 to 6 years. And you got to get everything that you can get, because once you're gone, you're just another number. You're gone. Now, if you was a highly recruited player and you did a lot for the program, you did a lot for the university, they will praise you, but at the end of the day, you're still another number. And there will be another person that's going to be just like you, if not better. So if the only thing that they can offer you is a scholarship or the opportunity to make it to a professional leagues, it got to be something more than that, because that was going to be a given if I worked hard enough. So.
Oof. You just dropped some gems on us. I appreciate you for sharing that, first of all, and just being open and transparent about that, because I'm sure that was not easy as you were going through that process. And now looking back, you know, years removed, you can say, I'm glad I did this. Or as you mentioned, like, I would not be where I am today if I didn't make that decision. But you touched on a lot of good points. And one is the fact that sports are a way, and I always tell people, even if you're not good at sports, you know, if your kids are not good at sports, keep them involved, because it does teach you a lot. It does show you a lot. And the biggest thing, as you just alluded to, is it shows you the world. That is the world we live in. People, unfortunately, only care about you for as much as you can give for them. And if you can't help them in some way, unfortunately, we live in a selfish world where people no longer value you as much. And your value is based on what you can do for others, not anything else. And it's ironic you mentioned, you know, once you graduate, they just move on to the next. And I understand, but I don't understand to an extent. I was an All-American. I feel that personally. Just like when you move on, that's it. That's it. So you do have to take advantage of that and make sure that you can utilize all of those resources the same way they're utilizing all that you bring to the table as well. So make sure you're graduating with something more. But as you also mentioned, just being able to use that experience to really also fuel all the work that you're doing professionally. You know, it seems like a lot of what you went through helped motivate you through Law of Athletes to be able to provide more for other people. And I love the part that you said about just touching on one of the pillars of Law of Athlete. You have 12, and that's major. So can you just share, and you maybe, if you would want to, can go through all 12, or just kind of summarize them, or tease them out, because people, you should just go look at them yourself too and check it out. But tease it out for us. What are those pillars, and also how did you even come about them? You know, what led you to decide to have your own guiding principles that you were providing through Law of Athlete in your pillars?
So when I was coming up with the name Law Athlete and everything that I wanted it to be, it was a lot of back and forth on what I wanted to do, what I wanted it to be, how I was going to grow it, the whole nine. And I came up with a couple of ideas. I created my own poem called The Law of Athlete Poem. I got that inspiration by a poem called Law of the Jungle by Rudyard Kipling, which is actually a poem that NC State uses our alma mater, the Wolfpack, right? So, you know, created that. Then I went off into saying, you know what, there was a book called The 48 Laws of Power, right? So I said, oh man, like, that's great. Why isn't there, you know, laws for athletes? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But because my brand is called Law of Athlete, I'm going to create these laws. I don't know how many. I'm going to create 12 because that's the number of completion, obviously. So I created 12. So everything that we do is very sentimental, is very symbolic to a lot of things that's in the world, right? So created these 12 laws. When I created the 12 laws, I wanted it to be something that anybody really can follow, but it has more of an athlete feel to it, right? So the first law off the top of my head is pick the right team, right? And that is very essential to anyone that is creating any type of success in their life, because the people that you have in your life are going to be factors of your success, or they can be factors of your failures. So picking the right team can be, you know, picking the right trainer, picking the right coach, picking the right friend group, picking the right family members to be in your corner, picking the right school, you know, picking the right agent. You know, these are things that's very important when you're going into these different transitions in your life, just picking the right team. And I made it very broad because everybody can give their own perspective on what picking the right team looks like and their own story, whether it was, you know, man, I picked the wrong agent, but then I ended up picking the right agent, you know, and vice versa, picking the right nutritionist. So that's one of the first laws. The second one is prioritize your mental and your physical health. And that's very important because for anybody striving for a proactive lifestyle, for anybody who isn't an athlete, it's very important for you to prioritize both your mental and physical, because majority of the things that you do are mental. So being able to allow people to tell their stories that align with that law in particular, just prioritizing your mental and physical health, being able to provide different knowledge and different key takeaways that people can put into this whole law, right? So that was really the reason. It's more so to create a framework of success for individuals, you know, and that is what I felt like that framework was. And you know how laws can be evaluated, they can be changed all the time, they can be upgraded. So, you know, next year we can have a volume 2, we can have a volume 3. And there's so many different ways we can monetize the laws. And how we monetize it now is we created the podcast. So we created the Law Athlete Podcast, where we bring in a diverse group of guests, individuals, whether they're sports executives, influencers, business owners, athletes, professional athletes, college athletes, the whole nine, where they can come onto the show and, you know, tell their story and how their story is related to one of the 12 laws. And we kind of use the 12 laws, one of the 12 laws, as a motor force for conversation, right? It's very entertaining. You know, we embody or we implement entertainment, sports, and culture and lifestyle all together with a little bit of personal development. So that's kind of how we monetize the 12 laws from the start.
So I like it. It's like guiding principles of just kind of a framework, like you say, of like, these are some different ways that you can kind of navigate through different challenges and have an idea of like what you should be looking to do and maybe even how you can make it happen. Because I do think it's hard when people are looking to take that next step in anything. Now we're talking about specifically in sports, but in anything, it's challenging trying to figure out even the little things like balance and self-care and protecting your mental health. So all of that goes such a long way, bigger picture, as people are looking to kind of chase their dreams, pursue their goals. And I'm always an advocate for anything that's bringing that positivity, because I think we all need it. You know, as you talk about through your story, everybody's got a story of something that they've been through and something that they've worked through that has helped get them to where they are today. So I'm also interested to know for you, in terms of Law of Athlete, as you talk about, you have the podcast, you have the apparel, which you're rocking right now, actually. I like it.
Thank you.
I was going to give you a shout out, of course. It's more than just, you know, before we're talking about you being more than just an athlete, but it's also more than just a business. You're working in so many different areas. What are all the different lanes that Law of Athlete looks to get into and cross over into?
So yeah, it's right now our main thing is media. So it's a media platform. And with this media platform, we also house a sports marketing agency for athletes. And then we also do a lot of philanthropic activities, you know, giving back. Recently we did a book bag drive. We partnered with Target and a lot of other companies to provide 144 book bags to kids in need for the school year. Next, we're planning on doing a toy drive in December. You
better be doing a can drive for Thanksgiving now.
I wanted to do that, but I actually wanted to step back from it a little bit, because, you know, it can be a situation where we get certain cans from people and then they putting stuff in it, and
and we are still in a pandemic.
Pandemic.
Okay. Food, COVID, we're still in a lot right now. I get that. Maybe next year.
Right. So it's more than a media platform, to be honest. It's more than a media platform. We do more than just provide access to different content and educational platforms and things like that. We actually provide a service. You know, we're more of the athlete empowerment brand that has more of a hands-on approach, right? But right now, for the things that we have to really answer your question is, we have obviously the lifestyle brand of it, so people can really feel a part of, you know, Law Athlete. We have the foundation aspect where we provide different philanthropic opportunities for our communities. We also have the sports marketing agency, and then we also have the media aspect, the things that you see now, like the Law Athlete podcast, different books, journals, magazines, the things that we do on social media, different campaigns. So what I wanted to do was build a community through our content, and be able to provide products and resources and services for that community. You know, so a lot of people, they try to create the products first and then find a community they can buy it. We wanted it to create the community first, build a community, because it would be easier to provide those services and products to a community we already have.
Right. Wow. And honestly, something that like a book bag drive or a toy drive, again, small little ways to make an impact that honestly are helping. That's 144 families that you are helping, or children that you are helping with that book bag drive. You know, like it is going a long way to help others around you. And so although media is a big part of what you do, it's also the outreach, the community ventures and different programs that really provide resources to the community that you're working in. But also, as you mentioned on the media side with empowering athletes, I have to imagine around the NIL that that's a big part of a lot of what you're really diving into, to be able to provide athletes the opportunities to grow their own brand. As we know, everybody has a brand. For whoever tries to act like that's not a thing, we do. Everybody has their own brand and image that, you know, people are correlating with who you are. So with the NIL, my first question for you actually, though, if the NIL was around when you were still playing, what would have been your first deal? What would have been your go-to product endorsement deal that you think you would have inked?
That's a great question. To be honest, it would have really just been promote my own stuff with my own name, honestly.
Okay, there you go.
That would have been my first thing, to be honest. Like, look out for yourself first before you look out for somebody else. Because if you already got your own thing going on, why would you try to make money for yourself first. If you already got your own
That's
stuff
true.
going on, you know, because all you're doing right now with these endorsement deals, you're helping them make more money by using your face. Like what the money that they giving you is little compared to how much they're gonna make off you.
Facts.
If you look
Always
at
think
it,
a bigger picture.
right? But now, that's not to say I would neglect those are different opportunities, but I'll definitely make sure I look out for myself before I do that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, I like that. Again, think a bigger picture, thinking outside of just, yourself and in that sense of like, okay, how can we build generational wealth? If you can
Right.
grow your own business, that's more important than growing another company, Domino's or whoever else, if you can have the opportunity to get your own endorsement going.
Right.
But I definitely want to just get your take on what's really next for Law of Athlete and for you in general. What is it that you have been working on? What's next for you? Because the other part of all this has happened in such a short span, if I'm correct. So
Right.
the pandemic, actually take us through the timeline before you even get into what's next. Let's look back first of kind of how you've pivoted around the CFL, the pandemic, and then really pouring a lot into growing your own through, Law of Athlete.
Right. So I started when I really got into it. I started in December. I started my podcast in December. That ran all the way up until I would say June. I'm sorry. Then after that, we was like, you know what, we really need to create a service. And it was crazy because the NIL had got released July 1st. So I decided, so you know what, we need to hop on this wave soon. We really need to get into it. So we created the sports marketing agency where we were fortunate enough to sign a couple of clients or do a couple of deals for different clients. And now we're working on doing an NIL program for universities. In the works of talking to some universities, so I can't wait to show you all that, creating that, and keep doing philanthropic activities and stuff like that, really building that community, at least within the DMV area first, because that's where I am. But yeah, that's really what we've been doing. Creating the next season for the Law Athlete podcast. That's starting back up in January, so I can't wait for everybody to see that. It's gonna be pretty dope. But yeah, I guess, did I answer your question?
You did. You definitely did. Yes. So I mean, that's amazing when you look back a year ago. You talk about December. Here we are only in the start of November. So that's a year ago that a lot of this change has been happening. So again, it doesn't take long. And I'm curious to know, how long were you even thinking about Law of Athlete before actually launching it? That's part of the process too, is like you have a dream, you have a vision, and then you actually put it into action, which is never an easy thing in itself. So what was that process like for you of going from thinking about this idea to actually realizing, okay, I got to make this happen. It's time for me to fully pursue this.
It's crazy. So I came up with the name April 1st, 2020, right? At first, I was really writing a book. I was writing a book on my life, because remember, everybody was saying how did you do this? How did you do all this stuff in college? So I said, I'm gonna write a book off this. I'm gonna make so much money, And my mom, she's like, nah, don't write a book, make a business out of it. I'm like, I don't know what that looked like. But when I didn't get drafted, that's kind of what was the motive force to really creating it, because I kind of used my fuel of not getting drafted to say, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and get into this now, right? So created it, and that's really what happened. Created it April 1st, got into the podcast business in December, and then it just went on from there. So it didn't take long. I just kind of put my head down. I utilized the pandemic, to be honest. I'm gonna tell you that right now, because we couldn't do nothing. We couldn't go out. We couldn't. So I might as well just utilize my time, really building the foundation. That was the most important thing. It's like, okay, what do I want to do? Build the foundation, because your foundation is very important. So that's really what it was.
And honestly, it's all good. It's Monday. It's cool. But honestly, as you mentioned, the pandemic, I feel like really did help a lot of people get their own hustle off the ground. And I even remember this quote, and I keep bringing it up to so many people, but it was so accurate of if you didn't if the pandemic didn't bring out the hustler in you, it was never in you. Like if you didn't take this past year and some change and get something going and level up in some way, you just didn't have it in you. Because as you're saying, it was time that everybody's inside and you have more time on your hands. And it's like, okay, what can I do? And how can I do it? And it was a time to reflect and look at, all that you had available to figure out what was next. So it is crazy when you think about like the fact that this pandemic, and I'm not going to ever act like it was a great thing because it was not, but it did bring out a lot of, a lot of people's passions that they were able to now put into action, into fruition. Things that a lot of us have been sitting on projects, as you talk about, you'd been sitting on it and it was April 2020. That's like, you know what? It's time. It's going to happen. Let's make this happen.
Right. Yeah. I would have never thought that I would have created something like this, but it was more of one of those things. Once I did it, it was no looking back. And when I created it, it was like, okay, how can I really make this thing turn into the conglomerate sports company? That was my mission, is to really create one of the most influential sports companies known to man. So, big names like Nike, Adidas, a lot of big name brands. I wanted to be like those. I wanted the company to be like that. And that's what we strive to do. And, this is where we at right now. But I'm pretty sure in the next 5 years, we'll be there.
There you go. Book it. The next 5 years, nothing but big things to come. That's exciting. Well, I can tell it's clearly dinner time. So I'm gonna get you out of here soon. But first, I want to just get into a couple quick rapid fire questions in our fast break segment. So I hope you're ready for it because I've got some quick questions coming your way. And we'll have some fun here as we wrap up.
Okay.
All right, it's time to get to it now. Who's in the hot seat this week? Find out more with our host, Renee Washington, on the Fast Break.
All right, so in the hot seat this week is, of course, our guest, Deonte Holden, for the Fast Break, where we are going to ask you some quick questions. Don't try to think too much. Go with your first answer, whatever it is. Don't overthink it. This is like a no thinking game. Okay, so my very first question for you, as of right now, today as we're having this conversation, if you had to pick a team to build a quarterback around, who is that quarterback? If you had to pick a player, to build a team around, wow, I can't speak either. If you had to, oh my Lord, if you had to pick a player to build a team around, who would that player be that you'd be picking?
I'm going to just always go with Tom Brady.
Oh, that's such a...
I know.
Game over.
I know, such a cliche answer.
No, I don't like that answer. Mm-mm.
Why? I'm confused.
It's just...
He's a winner.
You're a former Patriots fan.
Exactly.
This game's over. I quit.
Exactly. I think you knew the answer to that question, honestly. You knew.
That's why I couldn't say it properly, because I didn't really want to, I should have just... Yeah, I did. I still wouldn't pick Tom Brady, though. I think I'm going to go with like a Lamar Jackson because I'm going with the future. You're building a team, and Tom Brady, although he's playing the best he's ever played, I'll give you that.
He did say he could play till he's about 50, 55. So.
And it's honestly, at this rate, it's looking like it, especially since he doesn't get pressured at all, and he just has time to stand in the pocket and throw. Okay. I know you're a former Patriots fan, so I'm going to give you that one. Yeah. Top 3 rappers of all time.
My top 3, I'm going to say Jay-Z. I'm going to say of all time, I can't really give you an all time, okay? But I can say right now, I'm going to say Jay-Z. I'm going to say Drake. I'm going to say, sheesh. And honestly, I'm gonna say Jeezy because I like them. You know what I'm saying? Those my peoples. So, yeah, Jay-Z, Drake, Jeezy for me.
I had to give you a harder question.
I got some other artists too that I listen to all the time. Don't get me wrong. All right, but when you ask me on the spot like this, I'm like, these are the people that I listen to all the time.
Okay. I was going to give you a 5 or 10, but then after that slick Tom Brady response, I had to tighten it up. So I gave you 3.
Yeah, that was a hard decision.
But honestly, I still don't know if I could pick a top, even like top 10 is hard. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
put you on the spot.
yeah. It's
Sorry.
no disrespect to everybody else. This is just off the
No.
top of my head.
Yeah, of course. All right, obviously we just had Halloween, and I don't know if you're a big movie fan like myself, but what are your top, I'm gonna give you 5 this time. That's a lot, but top scary movies of all time. We'll stick with of all time.
I'm a movie person. I can't even remember all the movies that I watched. That's a good question.
Stumping you here.
I got to think about. So when I was a kid, I used to be so scared of the Jeepers Creepers movie.
Ooh.
You know,
that's a classic.
I used to be so scared of it. Now I look at it and be like, this dude ain't even scary for real. But I still watch it.
I'm still scared of that one.
Really?
I'm still a little scared. It's just him. First of all, it's the figure of a really big figure with wings flying over top of you, grabbing you while you're running. And cornfields just weird me out in general, so that's probably why.
Yeah, I think it was like he was like a human crow or something.
Yeah, like it's just and he's like shooting stuff at people and claws and
Right.
All right, so that's one. Unless you're doing a few Jeepers Creepers, because there were more than one, but there's one.
That's a good question. Goodness gracious, I have not thought. I don't know, but what I will tell you though, I like those scary movies that got the groups with them. Okay, because it's so fun. Like the group of people. Like you just know everybody probably gonna die except for like one person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But then when everybody die, you're like, oh man, that sucks. Right? Mm-hmm. So it's just like I like the groups of people because it's like one person gonna do something dumb. The other person gonna want to split up. And it's like, why split up when y'all can just stay together? The other person gonna want to be the hero, but he end up dying too because he want to be the hero. It's just like it's the same old thing, but when you switch it up a little bit, it's a little funny. So I can't give you the names, but the Blair Witch Project, that's a good one.
Oh.
It's not really scary because you didn't see nothing.
Kind of creepy.
But it's creepy and suspenseful because it's like this can really it did really happen. But yeah.
See, I definitely like all the movies that feel like it could happen to me. That's why Jeepers Creepers is on the fence, because I'm not going to be out in a cornfield unless I'm there beyond my will. I'm not going to be walking through a cornfield by choice. So like that is not something that I would think could happen to me. But like the Strangers creeped me out, because that to me is like that's some real stuff. So
yo, that can really happen.
That could really happen. That's terrifying to me. I don't see. I don't know, because I feel like if I was ever in these situations, I could either be really good or really bad. I'm really not sure how I would handle any of these situations.
You gotta grab a gun.
I don't know.
You gotta
I'd be real flight or real fight. One or the other. There'd be no in between. Yeah, I would definitely get a weapon. I was just watching I've been watching a lot of horror movies, Halloween movies. I won't even call them all horror, just Halloween movies, because they're not all scary. And it is funny to me in those movies how people just run past weapons or do the dumb things like you're saying. But it's nice when they have a nice big cast of people that'll get got.
Right.
That's for sure.
Right. Do you watch scary movies before you go to sleep?
Oh, I made that mistake the other night, actually, and I literally had a nightmare. So I'm a big kid, apparently, and I cannot watch them too close to bedtime. But I do love a good like nighttime. Get the horror movie, get your wine, jammies. Let's do it. That's a vibe.
Yeah, that's me. I gotta watch the suspenseful movies because I gotta stay up. If it's not suspenseful, it's not like a thriller, I'm gonna fall asleep and I'm gonna watch the rest of it when I wake up,
Yeah, that's why, I mean, scary wise, I would go with like The Conjuring, Paranormal Activity, like those give me some goosebumps. They're like creepy. But then the other movies, I would say definitely like The Strangers and those kinds of movies where it really could happen. But I love the suspense movies of like Liam Neeson, I think is how you say his last name, like those types of movies where it's like law-abiding citizen type stuff. Love those. Right. All right. So far you got 1 for 3 out of questions.
What?
You got the Tom Brady answer. Although you did say 3 rappers. Okay.
All right.
You never really okay. Biggest surprise so far from across the NFL. This is not as tricky of a question. What's something that has surprised you as we saw another action-packed weekend? And we're missing the game right now between the Chiefs and the Giants, but
what?
We're missing the game between the Chiefs and the Giants right now, but I'm saying, like, in general, what's something that you have been surprised by?
Honestly, everything surprised me at this point. Actually, I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't tell you really what surprised me right now about the NFL right now. But actually, no, couldn't tell you.
You know, it would be a great surprise if you can answer a question.
Well, guess what? When it's
under like 5 seconds.
When it's a fast break,
you're a run the offense kind. You're a slow it down, run the offense kind of guy.
Slow down. Everybody
not a
slow
fast
down.
break. Yep. Okay.
I'm a Libra. So it takes me time to make my decisions. You know.
I get it. I'm a Virgo, but I feel like, well, I don't do well in these situations either. I'm only doing well because I'm on the side of it. To be honest, like if you were to ask me these questions, I'd be giving you 20 different answers. So it's cool.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy.
What?
You put me in a position, but yet you don't like being in a position. I
don't, because I think it's funny. It gets you thinking differently.
Yeah, well, I can't think.
All right, then this one maybe you'll get. Who are your favorites to come out of the AFC and the NFC? Who do you have?
This is so. I can't answer that question either. The reason why I can't answer that question because I have a lot of friends that play on different teams.
Don't think about your friends.
No, you're not about to get me jammed up, okay? All right.
All right.
Because if the world was great, I'm gonna say the Washington football team gonna have a shot. No.
I'm talking like coming out of their division. I'm sorry, coming like meeting in the Super Bowl. Like the Washington football team might not even come out of the NFC East.
See, but if the world was great,
is that the world being great though?
God is good all the time.
Okay.
If not, then the Ravens. I'm gonna pick some team.
Okay, the Ravens. That's a good one.
Right.
I can see that.
Whatever
Who are
team
they playing?
in the DMV. Again, this is disrespectful, and you put me on
what?
Because I got a lot of friends.
Guys, for the record, I told Deonte we were going to talk about the NFL a little bit.
No, she didn't tell me that I was going to have to be a traitor. I can't be a traitor to the people that I know that play on these different teams. So I'm gonna
go. So you have the Ravens Washington football team in the Super Bowl?
One of them.
Okay.
And this is me being a DMV native, you know, DMV.
Okay.
But I can't. That's disrespectful. But if the world was a great place, one of them teams. But too bad the world isn't a great place right now.
So still no answer.
Still no answer. Can't give you an answer on that.
Okay. Good talk. I feel like I got to give you one we can end on. Here's a good one. Who's someone that you've looked up to, a role model and someone that has inspired you in some way?
LeBron James.
Yes. Now that's the only right answer. On that note, I am so team LeBron, honestly. If anybody does not like LeBron James, and I have some friends that do, and I'm questioning every day, I question how we are friends because I don't know how you dislike LeBron James. Exactly. That man has changed the world in so many ways, on and off the court. So yes, finally, Deonte, you were just saving the best for last because you started off, and then you kind of dropped off.
That was a no-brainer.
See, that's why I teed it up for you.
And I'm glad that we both can just relate to that. You know, because I really cannot understand why people would ever hate on such a great athlete and also a great teammate, a great father, great husband, I guess. I don't know the relationship, but I just know.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. But overall, just great person in our world. So I couldn't give you a reason. And if somebody said they didn't like him, they literally hate him.
You're a hater if you don't.
100% a hater.
Tom Brady, I could somewhat understand. Like, I don't love Tom Brady, but I respect Tom Brady. I will never say I hate him. But people that actually say you hate LeBron James, there's something wrong, because I agree.
There's literally something wrong.
You might not be happy he's beaten your team so many times or been to so many NBA finals, but you've got to at least respect it. Like, I'm the same way with like any top athlete. I'm rocking Jordan today. LeBron is my GOAT, but I will still respect Jordan and Kobe, the way he rescues everybody else for their talent.
Exactly.
Okay, so at least
we right here.
We ended here.
I knew we could relate. We was right here with it.
And then I'm going to also get Deonte to become an Eagles fan, everybody. So that's the other part of this. But otherwise,
I don't know about that one. But
well,
actually, I know a couple of people that play on the Eagles. So I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm an Eagles fan, but I respect the Eagles because I know people that play on that team.
Okay, there you go. Match made in heaven. You are now an Eagles fan. Boom. Fly, Eagles, fly. EAGLES. Eagles. I'll teach you the fight song and everything. Most teams don't even have a fight song. We do. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
That's how we do. So I definitely appreciate you taking time to join us. It's been a pleasure. The fast break was interesting, but we got through it. Learned a lot about you.
My favorite food. She could have asked me my favorite food. She didn't even ask me that. Like,
all right, you did come into the show talking about food. What is your favorite food? And I feel like
spaghetti.
Just spaghetti? No meatballs, no Parmesan.
First of all, the way we make spaghetti over here, we don't do meatballs. Okay, we get the ground beef or ground turkey beef.
Okay.
Put that thing in there. Put a couple of seasoning. You know, we make it do what it do.
If you don't have the pan of ground beef with the spaghetti sauce and the like seasonings on top, it's not the same. I do get that. I'm all for that. Okay. Agree. We agree on something else. We started with food. We ended with food. Deonte Holden, thank you so much for joining us. Let everybody know where they can follow you to keep up with all the great things you've got going on with Law of Athlete, your businesses, and all the exciting things that will be happening in the future, because I'm speaking it into existence now. A year from now, Deonte Holden is going to be blowing up, and he will be a fan of the Eagles. His businesses will be taking off. He will still be supporting LeBron and everything else. But yes, where can people follow you?
So honestly, more so Law Athlete. Everything is at Law Athlete, Law Athlete Sports, Law Athlete Foundation, the whole nine. My personal page, Honcho Holden, is on Instagram. Deonte Holden on Twitter. Deonte Holden on Facebook, the whole nine. So yeah, man, feel free to follow me, follow Law Athlete, see everything that we got going on. And this is just 1 year in the making, so I can't wait to show you all everything that we have in store.
Year one, having a great rookie season of your business and exciting things to come in year two. So definitely excited to see what's next for you, and definitely thankful that you took time to join us on the show, because like I always tell our guests, as you continue to blow up and make it, don't forget about us little people, and being able to join us here on Beyond the Headlines. Don't forget about us.
I won't ever.
All right, guys, definitely be sure to give Deonte a follow at Honcho Holden, Deonte Holden, all his handles, Law of Athletes, across these different platforms to keep up with the great things he's got going on. You won't regret it. He brings positivity, you're bringing inspiration, and you are just changing the game, because you are definitely more than an athlete. So I appreciate you for joining Beyond the Headlines this week.
That was a great closing. Oh my God.
We're not close. Still live. Okay. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe, follow us each and every week. Also on social media at Beyond the Headlines, across Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, our website, BTHwithRW.com. We're bringing you great content like this, some interesting content like this, some funny content like this each and every week. So have a good one, guys. Have an awesome start to your November. Be safe, be blessed, and as always, continue to do incredible things in each and every aspect of your life. I'll see you next time.
Only on Beyond the Headlines. This is Beyond the Headlines. Only on Beyond the Headlines. This is Beyond the Headlines. Only on Beyond the Headlines. This is Beyond the Headlines.